Today's episode of Mind of the Meanie is presented by Sweat Connected. Sweat Connected is a transformative way to work out. Sweat Connected has a mission to help you feel your best. Each expert instructor brings their signature method directly to you, wherever you are in the world, via Zoom. When you take a Sweat Connected class, you are able to interact with your instructor and the other participants in class, just like you would in a live studio experience. Whether you have been a group fitness participant for years or are newer, you will feel at home with Sweat Connected. Sweat Connected is exclusively offering our listeners 50% off their first class by going to sweatconnected.com and using the code POD. That's code POD, P-O-D, at sweatconnected.com for 50% off your first class. Sweat Connected for all levels, all ages, all sizes, and all humans.
This is the MLW Radio Network.
Welcome, everybody, to the Mind of the Meanie, your weekly peek into the world according to former WWE and ECW wrestler, the Blue Meanie. We'll cover wrestling, music, movies, sports, and lots of useless knowledge, all contained in the Mind of the Meanie. I'm Josh Shernoff, and he is the Blue Meanie. Meanie, what is up, man?
Dude, you are such a newer. I don't know. Hey, man, doing good. In the new setup here.
No one's going to get that newer thing, by the way, because I'm going to edit that in our pre-roll ad.
Yeah. Well, disregard.
Yeah, no, I had 47 takes of our sponsor. Yeah, man, your setup, I mean, our Patreon members are seeing it right now.
Yeah.
You have got such a cool setup here. I am still in my 3/4 done new studio here. I actually have to bring everything upstairs tomorrow to film So Says Shernoff because I'm not set up yet down here. But look, what have we got behind you? You've got, of course, the Mind of the Meanie sign. You've got the Job Squad. What is that, like a street sign?
Yeah, a fan from over, I want to say from Germany gave it to me nice. At a convention. We had a Job Squad reunion at a Legends of the Ring a few years ago. And the gentleman wanted just to have us take a photo of him and with the sign. And he was like, do you want this? I went, yeah, I'll take that, please. Thank you.
So it looks like you also have, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you've got such cool stuff. It looks like your WWF 8x10.
Yes.
You've got this is the best part, the missing pepper sign. Now, did you black out that number so people aren't calling?
Yeah, Mrs. Meanie was very thoughtful, and it's not on the paper. It's actually on the frame, so the paper's still intact.
Excellent.
But that's like one of the, like they had a stack of them. I just like, oh, fuck, I'm taking one.
That's awesome.
And then I should have took all of them. What else are we going to do with it besides throw them out? I should have took them all.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Then a bunch of action shots and things here, a newspaper article. Such cool stuff behind you.
Yeah, let me see. There's me doing the moonsault to Pitbull 2 at the ECW Arena, which is pretty cool. A lot of stuff in the shot. Some of the stuff not in the shot. There's an ECW poster. There's the Hal Haney art, the Meanie half face.
Mm-hmm.
Right next to the Job Squad gimmick is a like a mock Raven comic book. It's not a real comic book, folks. But the guy who does all the artwork for like Terry Funk and stuff did like a mock-up Raven comic book. And
That's
stuff
awesome.
Like that. But later on, now that we got this room, it's for me and Mrs. Meanie. We're going to get more Mrs. Meanie run-in videos, and she's going to do like a little tour of the room and stuff like that and everything she did. And
that's awesome.
Cool stuff in front of me, cool stuff to the sides. Kind of like blacked out this room, so we have like set lighting for the whole time.
It looks great. It really looks great.
Yeah, this is all Mrs. Meanie. She ran some LEDs behind me to shine up the wall. Really cool stuff. And then yeah, it's just like the funny thing is I wanted to get away from the front of the house because my neighbors are noisy. And then like maybe a half hour before we came here, I came up here to record. My neighbor starts sawing wood. I was like, oh, of course.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
Why not?
Sometimes on a Saturday afternoon, you just got to saw some wood. You know what I mean? This has been I guess, eventful week. As far as anniversaries go, an eventful 2 weeks or something. So we missed 2 big anniversaries on last week's episode. Now, neither of them, I think, fell. Well, okay, the first one fell on the day I think we released the episode. So
yeah, we stayed on brand.
The first one was the 24-year anniversary of the BWO. Is that right or no?
96 to 2000. Yeah, 24.
Don't you dare make me do math on here.
Hey,
the 24-year anniversary of the debut of the BWO.
96 to 2. Yeah, that's 24.
Yeah, it is.
Fact check.
Well, we missed that.
But
yeah, so and that took place at what? Was that November to Remember?
Yeah, November to Remember
96, I suppose, right?
96. Yeah. Yep.
But possibly even more or
embarrassing.
Equal to that would be the 25th anniversary, which was just a couple of days ago as we record this on a Saturday. The 25th anniversary of your ECW debut. Your debut. Now, was that officially your debut as the Blue Meanie?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Officially in the full Blue Meanie gimmick. Like I told the story where, me and Raven were coming. Me, Raven, and Steve were driving back from a Norm Connor show in the Pittsburgh area. It was probably northwestern Pennsylvania, but I like to say Pittsburgh because people know Pittsburgh. They don't know Oil City or whatever.
That's funny. I never like to say Pittsburgh, but stop. I'm kidding. Am I?
Yinzers. But yeah, we're driving back, and he pitched the idea for the Blue Meanie. Well, before the show before that, he pitched the idea of being Stevie's lackey. This show, he pitched me being the Blue Meanie. And we went to his house, we rented Yellow Submarine, we watched it. And then that night he had a show in North Jersey for a promotion called New Jack City Wrestling. No relation.
No relation to New Jack.
And I came to the ring with Raven and Stevie, and they announced me as the Blue Meanie, but I was just still Brian Rollins. So
still just dressed in, what were you wearing?
I was wearing my Van Halen half shirt and Daisy Dukes and wrestling boots and no blue hair, no makeup, no nothing.
So you were like a hybrid. You were like...
Yeah.
So you were like kind of Blue Meanie.
Yeah.
But okay.
But it was like...
You'd yet to go full.
If I didn't tell you we did it, you wouldn't have known.
I mean, you didn't blue yourself, right? Or whatever.
I fell off the couch and broke my neck. I was this close to the perfect blowjob, and I fell off the couch and broke my neck. I was this close to the perfect blowjob, and then my back gave out. And then I had 2 ribs removed. Ribs.
Let's take a turn quickly. So you had posted about your 25 years, your debut, and you said you were grateful to Raven and Stevie affording you with a life-changing opportunity.
Yeah.
Raven retweeted that, and is it okay if I read what Raven wrote?
Oh, please. I got tissues ready.
I don't know how excited you're going to get, but I mean, I see. You're wiping your eyes. I'm so grateful I drunkenly watched the Yellow Submarine 25 years ago and realized Brian equals Blue Meanie. It's been both my honor and my privilege to start you on your road to fame and fortune and to watch you grow immeasurably as a person and performer. God save the Meanie. Which was cool. That was just fun to see.
Oh, it's cool all these years later, Scotty's mellowed.
Yeah.
He not that he was he probably was a wild man, but to me everybody's just I see the craziest things and I'm just like, You know.
Hey, wild men, you have a tendency to end the careers of wild men. So,
as I do the wild man eyes.
Hey, can I crack this open? I ate
please.
peanut butter before we came on the air, and I feel like I'm just fighting against it to talk.
Yeah. So what do you got there?
I got blueberry pomegranate.
And I got Wegmans ginger ale.
All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Go birds.
Go birds. Where they're going, I have no fucking clue.
I actually, Meanie and I have a meeting, a business meeting, if you will.
Brother.
That was not even meant to be a Dusty Rhodes. It sounded like a horrible Dusty Rhodes, but I was like, a business meeting, if you will, and just want to say that was not my Dusty Rhodes. Not saying it's great, but that was not my Dusty Rhodes.
That's the most vanilla Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah, here's my Dusty Rhodes. We have a business meeting, if you will. Is that good? Did I nail it?
It's like a Simpsons version of Dusty Rhodes.
Blue Meanie, we got some risky business over here, partner. We got the sabotaging the tape mechanism.
Yeah, whatever.
The sabotage in the tape mechanism, Blue Meanie.
Yeah, we just
Blue Meanie, if Dickie Murdoch was in this car right now, there'd be a fist fight.
Yeah, we're just gonna have ourselves a little bit of a business meeting. Just Leo. That's almost like the what's his name? Oh God, what was that Saturday Night Live thing? The Ladies' Man.
Can you meet me over by the taco cart?
Yeah, we're gonna have ourselves a business meeting.
I can't believe they made a movie of that bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I love the bit. I don't even remember the movie, but
I just said the funniest line from the movie. He's like, he's on the. Hold on.
Oh, bless
Sorry.
you.
A little seltzer kiss. He's on the Jumbotron at like a game or whatever. He's like, and I don't even know he was like, can you meet me over by the taco cart? And that was like the funniest part from the whole fucking trailer.
I'm looking in some of our comments here from our Patreon members that have joined us live. Because if you join Patreon, you get to join us live. We'll talk all about Patreon in a little bit, but let you know when you can hit that fast forward button. But James Sorensen had said, I have apple ginger Josh opened. And then he later corrected himself. I opened it, not Josh. But for a second there, I was like, are you just like raiding my my recycling or how are you getting this? Also, side note, how much would everyone pay for a signed empty seltzer can by myself or the Meanie? Because we're not above that. Now, listen, I was starting to say we have a business meeting phone call tomorrow that I scheduled during the Eagles game. That was the whole thing I was trying to say.
Just so that it's so on brand. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, let's do 1 o'clock. Nothing's going on. Crap, the Eagles are playing.
I got something else going on, which I can't get into, but
Yeah.
Why not?
The pictures will come out
it'll be
eventually.
interesting. Hopefully grow the brand of mine and the Meanie, and we shall see where that takes us.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to. We can't say what or
No.
how or what or whatever.
Although I do think,
because if it doesn't happen, we'll look like a bunch of cunts.
wow, man,
Yeah.
really.
No pressure. No
All right.
No, you learn from other people's, mistakes, other like Howard Stern back in the day was talking about how he wanted to do Howard Stern the high school years as a comic,
Mm-hmm.
and ever since that, it never came to fruition. But for like the next 20 years, all people were talking about was like, hey, when's that movie? When's that comic? The cartoon. Yeah. For the rest of his career, he's been answering that question. So always learn not to let the cat out of the bag, so to speak, when it comes to certain things.
I think that's a good thing. It's funny. It makes me think about, there was some stuff in the news about Eric Bischoff talking about Tony Khan and giving advice to Tony Khan of like, don't make these proclamations of these huge, life-changing surprises that are going to happen. Because he talked about something that's going to like change the face of, AEW forever. That's not actually what he said, but something along those lines. And it was the return of Pac, who's great. I mean, he's been gone for 8 months. It's amazing to have him back because such an incredible part of that roster. Yeah. But that kind of falls flat when you're like, this is going to, shake the ground of the, you know what I mean? Like it falls flat. And his advice was just let the surprise happen. Don't get overzealous about it. And that's kind of, we always kind of let you know something's going to happen, but I think we've been able to deliver so far. First it was Meanie Toons, then it was action figures, so I think we've been able to deliver, but no, this isn't, we're not changing the landscape of pro wrestling. We're just trying to expand our brand a little bit.
Those announcements never, work out as they're intended to.
There was one that did that I can remember, and I remember it because Kevin Nash came out and said these announcements usually don't live up to the hype, but this one does. And it was in 2002 when he announced the newest member of the NWO, and it was the returning Shawn Michaels.
Gotcha.
And that, to me, that was like the only time I was like, oh crap, that really did it. Yeah. Yeah.
When was that?
2002.
Okay. No, I went to
beginning of the summer of 2002.
Okay.
Because Michaels actually came back into the ring
with those awful brown tights.
Well, no, that was in November. That was Survivor Series.
Oh, okay.
Came back into the ring with his jeans and cowboy boots in the match at SummerSlam with Triple H.
Gotcha.
And then he had his poo-poo tights, and then he had, and then he went through like the weird. Then he had like the black tights that had like the HBK like new logo on the side. And it was like, dude, just do your thing, get back to, and then he just went back to then he went back to the Heartbreak Kid outfit, but his boots never had the hearts on them anymore. And which I always wondered, are they new boots or did he like remove the hearts?
Yeah.
It's something to ask him one day. But I don't remember where I was going with this, but he came back, he kind of dressed like old school Shawn Michaels, but didn't have the hearts on the boots, didn't wear the gloves anymore, just wore the wrist tape, which I was always like, that was such a cool, unique part of your gear. Like, why'd you get rid of it?
Yeah.
And then it said on the back, instead of Heartbreak Kid, it said Shawn Michaels, and then where it would normally say Kid, it said HBK, like inside the heart on the back. And I remember, yes, I was a little obsessed with his gear because I thought he had the coolest gear ever.
He did.
Something that I said to my wife before putting on Survivor Series 1996, to which he came out wearing like a, taxi cab driver hat or something, like bedazzled. And she's like, that was cool, I guess, maybe in 96. I'm like, no, I guess it was really never cool, but I thought it was at the time.
And we were at a Legends of the Ring convention, and some fan had that hat on, the Shawn Michaels hat. She's like, oh man, that's so cool. I really want one. I was like, well, it could be yours if you can run fast enough. Give me that and just run.
That's awesome.
But no, the reason why I asked, because I remember in 94, like there's a moment when Shawn Michaels, I guess, got suspended.
Yeah.
And he came back at a Raw somewhere in Ohio, and I wound up, I was training with Al, and me and a bunch of students rode over. We got like free tickets and just went over and watched the return of Shawn Michaels after his I can't say words, suspension.
Yeah. Was this when he was like, when he left with the Intercontinental title?
It's that bad that like you have to say which time.
Yeah,
did he
which
leave?
time was he suspended? Was it the?
No, I think he.
This wasn't the one where he came back after getting beat up, was it?
No, he got in trouble for doing something.
Well, I remember there was like he failed the drug test.
That might have been it.
But then he claimed he didn't, and that's when he did the whole Ivory Tower thing to Vince. You know, you sit up in your ivory tower and all. And then he said it was like, I don't know. Then there was the other time it was like an unsafe working environment. Then there were all these different, you know, but hey, still.
Well, I think
one of
the
greatest
unsafe
of all time. So you know,
what's that?
I say he's still one of the greatest of all time.
Oh, absolutely. I think the unsafe working environment was when he got into the fist fight with Brett backstage in Connecticut.
Yes, and he said it was an unsafe working environment.
Yeah.
And he left. Yeah. Were you there for that? No, you didn't work for the company yet.
No. I'm not.
It was about 2 years before you worked for the company. Yeah.
No, but still, you know, I know guys who worked there during that, during that era and stuff. I know guys who were there the night of the Montreal screw job.
Yeah.
And they were saying, man, yeah, there was something weird in the air that day. Like even before anything happened, there's like this weird.
Well, I'm sure there was a lot of tension. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
And this is like from people who don't have like an agenda. They're like production guys, stuff like that. They're just there to do their job. They don't have like say one way or another. And they're like, yeah, there was something weird that day, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that day absolutely made history in professional wrestling. I remember watching it at home, and when it happened, I was like, I like instantly knew. Like I got what happened, that they ended the match. I was just like, what the hell? Like, yeah, like, and that was one of the weird things too with it was just like, they cut the match so short.
Yeah.
You know, I know they found this perfect spot, but like they cut the match short. It was really like, I was miserable by it. And I think that was something that they like never thought
short
about.
By their standard, not my standard. Cause I would have been blown up long ago.
Oh
like,
God, yeah. By their standard.
By main event world heavyweight title.
But it sucks because it was actually a really good match.
It was
too. It was a really good match. But where were you when you heard about it or saw it?
I remember watching it, and at first it kind of didn't dawn on me that like something had hit me. You know, it was just weird. It was just like I remember just going, oh, that was odd. That's like I didn't know that. You know, the fact that Brett was leaving hadn't crossed my mind or all this stuff, and then like it's like later on, like I don't know if I want to say if I was on AOL, and then I was like, man, that finish was weird. They're like, yeah, I think somebody said to me, yeah, I think they screwed Brett or whatever. So I haven't put two to two together.
See, for me, my first thing was I thought, what a horrible finish. Like that came out of nowhere. They just had him tap out to the sharpshooter. Like, what do you like? That was my first thought. But then Brett's reaction and when he got up and he spit on Vince and all, which I don't even know.
That was a good one too, man.
That he spit on Vince, or I just kind of saw, like, you didn't see live that right loogie in the eye.
Yeah.
Close up shot, but and then they cut off the air real quickly. But I knew Shawn Michaels was in on it from that night. And the way that I knew was his little hop at the end, right before he went behind the curtain. They had that little like walkway thing that you like went through. Remember, it was like they had that set back in that time period.
You want a little inside baseball on that?
Yeah.
If you watch Shawn Michaels win the match, act like he's mad, grabs the belt, and he's going back to the locker room pretending to be mad, Gerald Briscoe's right with him.
Yeah.
Gerald Briscoe's like, you just won the belt, celebrate.
Yeah.
And that's when he does the little hop before he goes in the tunnel. You see Gerald Briscoe saying to him, because Gerald told me this, he's like, Gerald said, I said, you just won the world title. Act like you won it. Or say, just celebrate, do something. Wow. And that's when he does the little, oh, yeah I won.
See, that's funny because that to me is what made me think that he was in on it.
Well, he was, but like, he was so busy selling it the other way that Briscoe had to go, hey, man, you just won a world title. Why don't you celebrate a little bit? And you see him do the, oh, yay, woohoo, I won.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like, obviously not a good position for him to be in on that. And it's so funny. Everybody, like, vilified Shawn Michaels for so many years, but I feel like Triple H, he was, like, the whole time Triple H was like, I don't care, whatever. We just got to take the belt off him. Who cares, Yeah.
Well, that's the mentality to boys sometimes, too. I mean, there were guys that were genuinely pissed off that somebody got screwed over, like Taker and McFoley. Like, McFoley didn't even come to TV the next day. Yeah. But, there's other guys in the locker room going, oh, well,
that's a shame. I guess I just move up a spot.
Yeah, right.
Know?
Well,
It's
there
like,
was always, there was always that.
No man mourned the death of Johnny Holmes when he died. You know, like, oh, I just moved up a step, and maybe I shouldn't have went that deep of a reference, but
it was way over my head. Probably something about the 40-year age difference, but
yeah,
the
old school people will get that reference. But go ahead.
No, I just, to me, I always looked at it as, I was such an enormous Bret Hart fan, so I was like a Bret Hart apologist for anything. But I was also a huge Shawn Michaels fan. But as I looked at the whole thing, the tough thing about it was Montreal, like this idea, and it's always kind of been this way, the Canadian, and that's because the WWE is an American company.
Right.
So wherever you are in Canada, it's basically, if you're Canadian, it's like your hometown.
Yeah.
But you looked at it and it's like, Bret's in Montreal, like, okay, but this isn't your hometown. This is not, this is not your town. This is not your state. This is not, like, it's, I don't know. To me, it was always kind of weird. It was like, this would be, to me, it was similar if like Shawn Michaels was like, well, I can't do this. We're in Wilmington, Delaware. The United States. This is my hometown. You're like, wait a minute, that doesn't feel right. So, that I don't know. That's just always my thought.
With Canada, it's like, and this ain't an insult. It's like such a small town mind kind of thing, or they have a national pride there. Mm-hmm. It's that's huge.
And in fairness, Bret had been doing that whole, that whole U.S. versus Canada thing. He was, flying the flag. He wasn't flying the flag of Alberta. You know what I mean? Like it was Canada. So anywhere he went in Canada, and especially, it was that. I guess I get it in this regard because it was at the tail end of that, that was it. It was the Canadian, they were the Hart Foundation, were the Canadian heroes. And, so I understand it.
But ultimately, I think that was the cop out because, leading up to that, Bret and Shawn had a conversation where Bret was like, hey, just so you know, I have no problem putting you over, blah, 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 blah. Shawn goes, oh, that's great and all, but I will never do the job to you. And then Bret had this, this thing where, show me some respect. Yeah. And I think it more came down to what Shawn said.
And that's really what happened, I think. Yeah, that he just was like, okay, well then screw you. I'm not dropping it to you.
Well,
I'll come out and hand it over the next night, but.
Yeah, that stuff came out way later with Shawn, when it came out that Shawn said, well, I'll never do the job to you. And then, the kayfabe of it, Bret saying, oh, well, I don't want to lose it in Canada,
Yeah.
But either way.
And then from there, we're not doing a deep dive on Bret Hart, but from there.
Oh, no, but this is like interesting
WCW,
shit.
which was the biggest screw job of all, was him going to WCW. Like, because I remember when he showed up the first time.
That.
What's that?
WCW botched the whole Bret Hart thing.
Oh, my God, from day one.
They should have had him on Nitro the next night.
Yep. And I understand. So apparently what happened was he broke his hand when he punched Vince. And so that's why they didn't have him on there or something. I don't know what it was.
Just have him come out and do promos.
Yeah.
You come out the next night.
Should have been there the next night.
Absolutely.
Broken hand, no broken hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you had Bret Hart showing up to address the crowd the night after the Montreal Screwjob, no one was watching Raw.
The next night on Nitro, the whole NWO came
with their little flags.
Canadian flags.
Yeah.
And they made reference to Bret knocking Vince out,
But it wasn't enough to make you want to watch it, like at that point.
At that point, you have Bret come out and they try to, and over the next couple months, they could have it where they're, the NWO is trying to recruit them,
Yeah.
Just different things you could do. There's so much.
But instead, they did that weird thing where he's like wearing Hogan's shirt, and it's like, is he NWO or not NWO, or is he Hogan's friend? It was so convoluted. None of it made any sense. It was terrible. So, missed opportunity for sure. Probably the biggest. I'd say that's the biggest missed opportunity that WCW really ever had. Like it's because of when the quality of Star and when he got there. He was the hottest thing going at that point. And I understand that Eric Bischoff has said that he got damaged goods by the time Bret showed up. And I get that Bret maybe emotionally was not there. But if anything, I feel like that would have been a Bret Hart showing up going, I'm going to outperform anything that you've ever seen because, you know, I'm going to make sure we put Vince McMahon out of business now, you know? But,
well, in a sports sense, look at all the time, like, I'd say a team trades a player away and that player comes back to play that team.
mm-hmm.
You know, how many, the Eagles cut Deshaun Jackson, and what did he do? He went to the Washington Redskins, and he was an Eagles killer every time he played the Philadelphia Eagles. Now he's with the Eagles, and he's killing the Eagles. But, it's the same thing with, the next night he should have been on WWE TV.
WCW,
He could have cut a Hellfire and Brimstone promo of everything that just happened and run down Vince and give WCW some more babyface shine, you know?
Yeah, but instead, it was what it was.
Well, you could say, Bret was part of like two of wrestling's biggest double switches because he was a babyface against Austin and they switched from babyface to heel.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the Montreal Screwjob, he switched back to babyface and Vince, switched to heel. That's the launch of the evil Mr. McMahon character.
It was. And I mean, look, everything happens for a reason, I guess it changed the face of wrestling. It's fun to think about, Bret had that 20-year contract. And I think it was like maybe something like 10 left wrestling and then like doing, I don't know what it was. It wasn't 20 years of wrestling, but it would have been interesting to see the Attitude Era with Bret Hart still there. With Bret, with Bulldog, with Neidhart, and with Owen, had you still had all of them, because you think, Owen obviously, he was there through part of the Attitude Era until unfortunately, but if you would have had Bulldog and Anvil and Bret still, it would have been really interesting to see what would have happened there, how they would have fit. Because I think they were starting to fit really well into that time. And, but I don't know. I don't know how that would have worked. It's hard to imagine them there at that time, being a big role. Because even like Owen Hart, I felt like he really kind of got pushed in, eventually tag team and stuff, and like never really was at the height of where he was in the Hart Foundation. So,
Right. But he still had a good run with Jarrett as, tag team champion.
Oh, that was great.
Like that.
I wish he would have changed his gear sooner, but,
Yeah, a little bit.
I hated that danger thing. I was like, what are you, I loved Owen Hart. But I was like, what are you doing? Like, I totally understood moving on from the Slammy award-winning Owen Hart. Like, it was time to move on. And he had the Black Heart thing, and like, I know that like kind of came and went. But near the end of his run with Jeff Jarrett, he had switched over. He had the tights that basically had like a giant like O and H on them. Mm-hmm. If you remember, like there were some promo shots, and like, he wrestled a little bit. And I don't know why it took so long to get those, because that danger thing just never fit him. It was Owen Hart,
Well, Owen was known to be frugal.
So that was basically it. He had one pair of tights, and it was just like, I'm not.
Could have been just a matter of, hey, these still fit. Why spend money?
I remember during like the Danger days, and I was at a house show, and he came out wearing the Slammy outfit.
Yeah.
Like
he had his house show.
It was like 2 gimmicks removed from that. Yeah, but he came out wearing the Slammy award winning gimmick there.
There's a couple times like me and Stevie just did that one Blue Meanie Bloods parody of William Regal and Bobby Eaton. And we wore that shirt once, and then like there's a couple times down the line I was like, fuck it, let me get some use out of this shirt. And I wore it was out of context of what I was doing. I was just Blue Meanie, but it said Sir Meanie, and still had the artwork on the back and stuff like that. But I can see guys having like, one time I was backstage at Ring of Honor, and Cody was there, and Randy Orton has been saying something on social media, and Dustin Rhodes was there in WWE as Goldust, and he posted a photo on Instagram of him, like me looking at Randy Orton's feed, and he had his face painted, he had his glasses on, reading the phone. And, well, Mrs. Meanie was looking at her phone, and fucking Cody had walked by and saw Dustin on her phone and went, "Oh, my God, look at that paint. That's such a house show paint job right there." And Cody started cutting a promo, on Dustin, and he's like, "I got to text him. What is it with that?" He's like, he was going off on Dustin having a house show paint job, It's like,
dude, I don't blame him, though.
No.
There's a house show. Look, he's painted up. That's got to be such a pain. But because for you had to paint every time, but you didn't have to do what he did,
No, I just did the simple raccoon eyes, and then later on I tried to reinvent myself, which was fucking stupid. With that, it was okay, but I wish I would have kept the raccoon eyes, and just stayed true to the character. I tried to do the thing with the blue, and
it was cool. It fit in, it changed you up a bit,
I probably shouldn't say, because there's somebody out there probably listening who liked it and goes, "Well, fuck you, Meanie. I liked it." It's just, I just see things I've done over my career. I'm just like, man, I could have done something better, shit like that. I always, I'm my own worst critic,
Yeah. Well, I think Meltzer's probably your worst critic.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. His zipper's all the way up when my match is on. So.
His what?
His zipper's all the way up, Bubba.
No chance of no chance of covering the screen on that one.
There's no toes crinkling and shag carpet on that one. There's no biting of bottom lips.
Oh man, yeah.
There's no popcorn ceiling. There's stalagmites and stalactites on the ceiling. He ain't throwing no lassos to my match.
Oh no, those jeans are staying blue. They're not stonewashed by the end of the evening.
They're very loose.
Yeah,
they do not get tighter throughout the course of a match. When I come on, I am yeah.
Oh man, well,
I'm the anti-Meltzer driver.
Well, where do you go from there?
I don't know.
I'll tell you where we go from there.
To hell.
We here we go. It's time to plug another show that's happening before you listen to this. Alternative commentary, Survivor Series on Fight TV. We will be doing that this Sunday, as in tomorrow, as in yesterday, if you're listening to this on Monday when it drops. So, yeah, looking forward to that. That'll be fun.
Which you can still watch on Fight TV.
Yeah, you can watch it later. I mean, it's perfect. Maybe we just reminded you that Survivor Series is happening. But can you believe, Meanie, though, that the episode that's going to air the day after Survivor Series, we just spent a lot of time talking about the Survivor Series. Talking
weird,
about
right?
Montreal Screwjob. And all. Yeah, that's crazy.
We didn't even plan that. Well, we don't plan anything, or else we would talk about fucking shit that,
Yep.
Anniversaries that drop on the same day as our fucking episode, which
Seriously.
is, but, yeah. I just had I had a friend reach out to me asking me for good wrestling documentaries. I sent him Wrestling with Shadows. So Wrestling with Shadows has been on my mind for the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And then there was the sequel to Wrestling with Shadows called Survival of the Hitman, which is pretty good too.
Yeah, which I never knew existed until you mentioned it last week.
Yeah, it was done by the same crew.
Where can I find this? I'm typing it into my phone now because I forgot.
It used to be on YouTube. I watched it on YouTube. I don't know where it's at now.
All right, let's see what I can find here.
I'm sure you can find it somewhere.
Yeah, I'll find it.
But the exact same crew who did Wrestling with Shadows did Survival of the Hitman. It basically talks about when Brett had to deal with his stroke and different things like that. So it's very good. It's very good. I'm a big wrestling documentary mark as it is. I love the one they just put out on Paul Bearer, called The Mortician.
That was awesome.
On WWE Network. Did we talk about that last week or no?
Briefly, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it. It was such
good.
a good documentary.
Mrs. Meanie brought up a great point. And I agree. She, we're happy that the story was told in his voice. You know.
Yes.
They had done so many interviews with him. Like his career was told. They didn't have to get like a narrator to go. And then a young pallbearer. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Blue Boy, please.
No,
he called me Blue Boy. I was like, all right.
Oh, well, now we know who to blame for your return.
Yeah. I would say something goofy on Facebook and be like, Blue Boy, please.
I'm getting, is this true? I'm getting Andy Slichter, Doctor of Merch, just told me that it's on Fight.
Oh.
Wait.
Survival of the Hitman? You know what? It might be.
See,
Breaking news.
The Hitman. It is.
Well, there you
It's
go.
on Impact Plus.
Huh.
Well, cats my dogs. I'm watching this tonight.
Very cool.
Hour 26 minutes and 59 seconds. I guess they couldn't do a full hour and a half. Well, some people are slackers. Yeah, this is great.
Very cool. Is it on there for free, or you gonna rent it, or?
Well, I mean, depends on who you know.
Yeah.
Some people might be able to access that. People who have shows on Fight TV. But man, so
Perks,
yeah, but
man.
no, we've got
perks.
What's that?
Perks, man. We got perks.
Yeah, hey, perky over here. So what else is going on? Hey, let's rack our brains and see. Are there any anniversaries coming up? Anything?
Jesus Christ.
Well, let's circle back and talk a little bit about your debut in ECW.
Yeah.
We talked about leading up to it, how you basically, but we know how it came about. You've talked about that before.
Yeah.
But tell us about that night. Tell us about everything that went into it, the decision for the look. Because when you first came out there, you kind of had like a blue mohawk. Would you have called it a mohawk?
Kind of like a well.
It was like a wide mohawk. It wasn't like Well,
I started off with like the buzz cut, kind of like the gym teacher from Beavis and Butthead, But
was that the inspiration?
No, okay. Just I was too cheap to go get a haircut. I just kept shaving my sides. But whatchamacallit, up until then I had done that thing where Sabu shaved my head and my hair was growing back in. So like I would just bick my sides and let the top grow, and I wasn't going the hair salon to get haircuts or anything like that. But it was I was hanging out with Stevie and Raven going to shows before my eventual debut. And I remember over Stevie's house and getting gear ready, cutting Daisy Dukes and half shirts and stuff like that. And I always had something ready, Because my initial debut, I debuted before I debuted as the Blue Meanie. I was just, Stevie's fan in the crowd. And that footage never aired because, the whole fire incident where, we lit a fan on fire.
Yeah.
But eventually, throughout the course, it was just a matter of coming up with ideas. And Raven came up with the idea where, to entice Stevie to come over and see me, I'd be wearing a half shirt, Daisy Dukes, painted up with the raccoon eyes and the hair, and I'd give him a gift. I have a present for Stevie, a little box with a bow on it, everything. He's like, "Oh, what can we do for the gift?" Stevie, had been wearing like, David Lee Roth shirts, and he had the Motley Crue tattoo at the time. I was like, what if I give him a hairbrush shirt that said "Flock of Seagulls"? And there's just like, why not? It's the most ridiculous, obscure reference we can make. And we do it in black lettering with like pink outline and with hearts all over it and stuff like that. So I was hanging out with Raven, and we were just going around, and I think we went to the Franklin Mills Mall in Philly to get that airbrushed.
Oh, nice.
Got shared airbrushed, got cut up, and all that stuff. And then I'd been around the locker room for a little bit, and then I equate my debut as the Blue Meanie to feeling like Howard Stern in the movie Private Parts when he does the MTV Awards as Fart Man. He's wearing that ridiculous costume with his ass cheeks hanging out and all this stuff.
Yes.
He's walking down the hall and everybody's looking at him like, oh, what a jerk. You know, who's this dick? So I remember myself, putting on the gear and just like, maybe I was overthinking it, thinking everybody was looking at me like, what the fuck's this, But, I dyed my hair blue, which broke my grandmom's heart. I was her baby boy with the blonde hair and blue eyes and stuff like that. So here I am dyeing my hair blue.
You still have the blue eyes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
you just blew yourself more,
Yeah. And, yeah. I was going to go back to the well on that one.
That's where I was trying. But tried and failed.
Yeah, my grandma was so protective. Like, she didn't even want me getting tattoos and stuff like that, I was her baby boy. She had this, like, image of me, and she didn't want me to grow up, which is admirable.
Yeah.
She loved me.
I get that. Like, I see that with my kids right now. I have my oldest son asked me that he's 3.5 and asked me, he saw my tattoo, and he's like, when I grow up, can I get a tattoo? And my first instinct was like, no, you cannot. No, like no, you're this sweet little boy. Don't go get, marking yourself up or whatever. So then I told him, I said, well, as long as it's the exact same one I have, you're fine. But I mean, look, you can do it. They're going to do what they're going to do, but no, I get that.
I remember I got my first tattoo. It was my dedication to my grandfather. This word pop with the Irish flag through it, with a shamrock and a heart, and trying to hide that from her. And she saw me come out of the shower one day. What's that on your leg? And then, like, when she realized it was a dedication to my grandfather, she was like, "Oh, okay, but that better be the last one." Like,
and it was.
Yeah, 21 years fucking old.
So I have a friend. He's Jewish, which is important to the story. So Jewish people are traditionally not supposed to get tattoos. Like, that's one of the laws in the religion is that you don't do that. And you can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery if you have a tattoo. Now, a lot of Jewish cemeteries have, stopped that line of thinking depending on the sect of the religion and all that stuff. But needless to say, I will not be buried in one that still adheres to those rules. So my buddy Dan wanted to get a tattoo, and he wanted it to be something kind of like funny. Like, I don't know why. So he got a tattoo in Hebrew. It's Hebrew writing. And it says, the translation is, if found, bury in Jewish cemetery.
No.
Yeah. So that's what he has.
That's funny.
Yeah. I was like, I think that's hilarious. I don't know if it's hilarious enough to have forever on you, but he liked it. Well,
that's like the joke. All these girls get the Chinese logos and stuff like that. It probably says loaf of bread or something like that. Yeah. Oh, that looks so cool.
Dumb American.
Don't give a shit what it says. It just looks cool, and you see people just laugh at them like, ah,
yep,
loaf of bread on your arm.
Yep.
But I had to dye my hair. And of course, back in the 80s, 90s, the place to go get like blue hair dye was, South Street in Philly. Mm-hmm.
I think in 2020, it's still the place to go to get blue hair dye.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of mellowed out. Yeah, they've kind of priced people out, landlords down there. They're trying to make South Street this hip thing that it's never going to be.
No, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's like now because I haven't left my house in a year. But
Yeah. Yeah, I used to love going out. Like, dude, like one day I went down to South Street, and I forget where I was going, but like that Tower Records, like a 3-story Tower Records was like the coolest thing. And I'm walking down the street, and there's like Oh, I think I was going to a store. There's a store on South Street called Rock and Roll Plus where they used to sell ECW tickets. I think I was going there for like T-shirts or something. Mm-hmm. They're right across the street from Tower Records. So I'm walking down South Street. And I'm looking across the Tower Records like, what the fuck? I'm like trying to figure out who I'm looking at. And it's fucking Glenn Danzig from the band Danzig, obviously. Mm-hmm. And he's wearing a black leather jacket, his aviator sunglasses, like the mirror, and he's eating an ice cream cone.
Sure.
Like the Prince of Evil. Like this guy who sings, Dirty Black Summer and Lucis Fuge and all these deep, dark songs like Going to Hell and all that. Just casually eating an ice cream cone, the most unmetal thing.
Yep.
And there's a small, circle of people who like, hey, remember that time we saw Danzig eating ice cream on fucking South Street? Like Gabe Sapolsky worked at Rock and Roll Plus, and he brought it up. Like I went in there, I was like, I don't know, I forget how it came up, but we're both like, you saw that too? Yeah, I saw that too. Fucking.
But it's funny because that's kind of it's like the wrestling business. It's you see these in such a way they're performers.
Yeah.
So God, look at the Undertaker now.
Yeah.
That's a guy who is he has killed off any mystique that he ever had.
Oh, he broke Mrs. Meanie's heart. I mean, that's her guy.
Yeah.
She didn't want to hear him speak.
And that's the thing. Doesn't mean that I have any less respect for what he's done in the business or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
But he became this real guy, this kind of goofy, like we were watching his interviews, like this
fun loving.
Yeah. It's just this.
But it is fascinating to hear him talk about, back in the day. And,
yeah.
One of his first, matches in world class was against Bruiser Brody.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Two guys you never thought. I mean, imagine if you get a time machine, you get like top of his peak Undertaker versus Bruiser Brody.
Like 90s Undertaker.
Yeah. Imagine if Bruiser had never been killed,
Yep.
Bruiser definitely would have been in ECW.
Oh, God, I'm sure.
I would have gladly eaten one of his boots,
I said 90s Undertaker, but that really kind of does not narrow it down at all. As he debuted, we're on the 30th anniversary of his debut with the WWE as The Undertaker in 1990 at Survivor Series. So, yeah,
Which you can watch on Fight TV with alternative commentary.
Yes, and if you join Patreon, if you joined Patreon prior to this airing, then you get a watch along where maybe we're going to cover that. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how the poll turned out. But if you join Patreon, it'll be on there. Yeah, let's plug Patreon for a minute. How about that?
Yes.
Seems like a good a time as any to plug Patreon. So here we go. Blue World Order. Like what you hear on Mind of the Meanie? Then come join us over at patreon.com/Mind of the Meanie and become an official member of the Pod Squad. We have exclusive merch, monthly watch-alongs voted by you, plus you get to watch every episode of Mind of the Meanie live.
It's like Fight Club, except we talk about it. And if you want to be a super secret Pod Squad member, come join us on Patreon.
And aside from everything I mentioned before, you also get 20% off all of your merchandise over at ProWrestlingTees.com/Mind of the Meanie. And there's just so much more. So head on over to Patreon.com/Mind of the Meanie. Check out everything we have to offer and become an official Pod Squad member today.
Say hello to the Pod Squad, man.
All right, so Meanie Patreon. This is airing on November 23rd, which means you have 1 week left, people, to join our Patreon and be locked in as an OG Pod Squad member. Yes. Do it now. You're going to regret not doing it. So, yeah, we're going to lock it. And here's the other thing for people who are in there. So we have a $5 tier now and a $7 tier. The $7 tier gives you the opportunity to get a phone call and Zoom call, monthly Zoom call with us. $5 tier, you have to choose a phone call or a Zoom call. That's what you're going to be locked into. So a little cheat for you. I would right now, if you can, before December 1st, bump that up $2 and join the other one so that you get locked in forevermore, being able to do both the call and the other one. So, just saying. We want you there, right? We won't do a hard sell on it, but December 1st is when we get our new tiers, and they're looking good.
Tears for Fears. Anyway,
I'm so tired today. Are you tired?
I'm a little bit.
I'm like, I feel like I say stuff and like 20 minutes later, I'm like, what did I just?
That's my everyday life.
Have I been talking this whole time? I'm so. It's such a nice day here in.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So my wife was like, you know what? It's a really nice day. Why don't we put out the Christmas lights?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, but it's November. It's pre-Thanksgiving. But then she's like, well, but it's going to be like 40 degrees. And I'm like, okay, let's put Christmas lights out. So that's been pretty much, half my time this morning was spent putting out Christmas lights, and the other half was spent testing lights and realizing that things had burnt out. And I'm like, this is, I don't know. So it's that's.
At least you're getting that out of the way, you know?
Yeah. I'd much rather do it in this weather. But yeah, I feel exhausted. But hey, I wanted to give everybody a little bit of a rundown of what our new tiers are going to be. What do you think, Meanie? Should we do that now, or should we save that for another time?
I mean, while we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
So, okay, so starting December 1st.
And then we'll get back to the debut.
Oh, I cut you off.
No, don't worry about it.
Sorry.
That's cool. It's a side road.
Okay.
We'll
be back.
No, it's all good.
So, Sean Jones, anyone have the discount code for the Mind of the Meanie store? I do, Sean, and I'll send that to you afterwards. Can't say it on the air here, but okay. So we are going to continue to have is this the time? Should we do this? Should we just let everybody know right now?
It's up to you, buddy.
All right. Well, we're going to start. Here we go. Pod Squad, $5 tier coming up. You get your membership card. You get access to video versions of the podcast. You get access to our watch-alongs, and you get access to exclusive merchandise in our Patreon exclusive store there. That's what you get for $5. And I think that's a lot. I think that's worth it for that $5. The video version, there are so many times around here we're like, oh, you need to be watching this to see. So I think that's definitely worth it. Pod Squad Elite. That's a $10 tier. Can I get a little $10 tier?
Ooh.
You get all of the things that you got before. Membership card, access to the video version, access to watch along, exclusive merch. But you also get access to the live recording of the podcast, like our Pod Squad that's on here right now. You get access to the live recording of the watch along. You get 10% off Pro Wrestling Tees merchandise. You get access to a Zoom call. You get pre-sale access for live events, should they ever happen. And you get access to our private Facebook group for $10. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Then there's Pod Squad Gold. Ooh. That's new. That's new, Meanie.
The new Meanie.
For $25. You get 25% off Pro Wrestling Tees merchandise for our store. You get voting power on the watch along. You get a monthly phone call for 5 minutes with myself and the Meanie. You get a monthly Q&A with Meanie and or guests. But at the very least, it will be Meanie you can do a Q&A with, but we will try our best to always bring guests on. And with a 3-month commitment, so you have to be a gold member for 3 months, you get a free action figure, 2-pack. So,
I was trying to think of a 2-pack joke, but
yeah, I don't have one either. That's just the way it is. Anyway, that was my 2-pack.
Son of a bitch, took me a second.
All right. Should I keep going? Or should I pause it there? Maybe we'll do the rest next week.
We'll pause.
We'll pause it there. So that is, but I'll tell you, there are 3 more tiers that we're not telling you yet. So just to give you an idea of what's to come, that's an idea. Okay. So, your debut. I'm going to take a nap real quick while you do this so I can get my head on straight here.
No, dude, I was a big thing with me and my grandmom, talking about how, she didn't want me to get tattoos, didn't do it. She didn't want me to desecrate my boyish good looks, whatever I had left, I guess. But as I take a sip of water real quick.
There you go. Sip of water for the working man.
Yeah, man. I had a little something go down the wrong pipe. Yeah, so I went down to South Street, probably Rock and Roll Plus. I got the blue hair dye at the time, which was Manic Panic. They were the popular brand, but for whatever reason, it's never stayed in. So, I pretty much dyed my hair, and then, anytime I had to go do a show, I would have to put, the day of the show, as my hair got longer and I started spiking it a little bit, I would dye in my hair and just blow dry it in and keep it in.
Okay.
Every show, because, if I took a shower, it would, fade, in 2 seconds. So, the first night I dyed my hair to be the Blue Meanie a couple days before the show, and I walk out of the bathroom and the look of heartbreak in my grandmom's eyes, as her baby boy is got blue hair now. But we get to the building, and I've told this story before. I go to paint my eyes, and I realize I had no mirror. So I was like, "Oh, Raven, I can't find a mirror. I forgot my mirror. I can't find a mirror in here." And he asked Nancy Sullivan to paint my face up, AKA woman. And she came over and, she painted my face. And I conveniently kept forgetting to bring a mirror for the next few shows. For her, the remainder of her stay in ECW, had a little puppy, schoolboy crush.
That's nothing to be ashamed of, for sure.
No. She was such a sweetheart about it. Sweetheart in general. I remember us being in Reading, Pennsylvania at there's a Body Slams arena over top of a tattoo parlor. It was probably used to be a car garage or whatever, and they had these little shows in there. And we're in the back, and it's freezing. It was winter. And the locker room had no heat in it. The guys are coming back from matches, and just you see steam coming off their body. It's just this it's they're almost like they're on fire. But I come back and she looks at me. I got the steam coming off me, and she just looks at me and starts laughing, to which makes me start laughing. So I got steam coming off my head, my shoulders, everything, because I'm so warm from the ring coming in this cold ass locker room. I start laughing. All the steam comes out of my mouth. Which makes her laugh even harder, which makes me laugh harder, and my laugh made her laugh, which in turn made me laugh. But so she paints my eyes at the arena, and it's a matter of placing me in the crowd. They had a seat put aside. Sign Guy Dudley had been, AKA Lou D'Angeli, AKA Louis Dangerously, had been Sign Guy Dudley in the front row, which was basically a rib on the original ECW Sign Guy, Paul. I forget what his name, Paul something. So, they sit me next to Sign Guy, which they had done the month before as well when I was, just Stevie's fan.
Sure.
So, it's weird, walking through the crowd, and and this is a sixth sense I've picked up along the way, where I could feel people looking at me. You have this, feeling like you're being watched. You turn around and you see somebody just staring at you. I could feel the crowd watch me walk to my seat, kind of thing. I'm this thing they've never seen before, dressed like half shirt, Daisy Dukes, blue hair, eye paint. And then you hear like a like a muffled conversation, you know?
Yeah, like, is he part of the show? Or is he just here to see?
And knowing that crowd, they could have easily just fucking ruined, they could have killed me.
Sure.
They're like, who the fuck are you? Who the fuck? You fat fuck. You know, before I even debut, I could have been like the major distraction of the show.
Sure.
And here's like a fun little nugget. You know, because there's a couple matches before Stevie came out, and I just had to sit there. And my main directive was, don't sell for anything but Stevie Richards.
Okay.
No, don't be a fanboy. Don't react. Blah, 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 blah. Because the whole thing is I'm there for Stevie. I'm dressed like Stevie.
You don't care about anything else that's happening there.
I have a present for Stevie. Sit there stone-faced until Stevie comes out. So, like, Stevie's like third or fourth match on the show. Or something like that. And here's a fun little nugget. This was the night Sabu returned. Sabu had been fired because he no-showed. He sided with a Japan date over an ECW date, and you know, Paulie publicly fired him in the ring. So this night is, you know, nobody knows it yet, but Sabu's coming back. I see Sabu in the back, and we're like, hey, how you doing? Hey, what are you doing here? And Sabu had done a show over in Jersey for Dennis Corluzzo, bumped out early and ran over to the ECW show, gets to the locker room. So I'm sitting in the front row, direct orders. Don't sell for anything for Stevie. Paulie comes in the ring, and he's doing his promo, which I'm sure you can watch on the network or wherever. I forget the exact verbiage, but Paulie goes, dim the lights. And, like, ECW was, like, kind of like the inventors of turning the lights on, surprise. Lights come on. Sabu's in the ring. Gold, you know, gold Sabu pants pointing to the ceiling. Iconic shot. The lights come on. He's pointing up. Crowd's going fucking ape shit. But if you look at the bottom right corner, I'm just sitting there like, totally no selling this amazing thing that's happened to me. Like, even Sign Guy Dudley's kind of selling for it, you know?
That's awesome.
But you see me just like, there's like this whole fucking fervor of action of popping and cheering and fuck yeah. And I'm just sitting there like Debbie Downer, just like, you know. So, well, the month before, when I was Stevie's fan, he was wrestling Johnny Grunge in a raggedy ass hoe match, and I guess like for that was and the stipulation was the loser of the match had to dress up like a raggedy ass hoe and put on a dress and all this stuff.
Sure.
But during the course of the match, Johnny Grunge, you know, gave me a shot, and I ran off. And like, woo-hoo-hoo, I ran off. So this time around, Stevie acknowledged, you know, it comes, you know, for Stevie's match, he's wrestling El Puerto Riqueño, who used to wrestle as Ubas, which is Sabu backwards, because he did all of Sabu's gimmick. But we're like, we can't call you Ubas. We're going to call you El Puerto Riqueño, which pissed him off even more because I think he's Dominican. So
that's never mattered in wrestling.
No, well, it's mattered in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Oh, you're Samoan? Well, now you're from Japan.
Yeah. Yeah. I have friends who are from Puerto Rico. I have friends who are from the Dominican Republic. And people from Dominican Republic talk shit on people from Puerto Rico. People from Puerto Rico talk shit about people from Dominican Republic. So yeah,
but in wrestling, it's all the same.
Yeah.
You're Italian? Great. You now get called Muhammad Hassan. You know, it's...
So Ubas was like, I'm not Puerto Rican. I'm Dominican. Why do they keep calling me El Puerto Rican? You know, he was getting hot. But, that's a little side note. But, and then Stevie comes out, you know. At the time, he was still using Raven's music. Keep him separated. And he comes out, and that's when I light up. You know, I'm like, oh, here comes Stevie and all this stuff. And Stevie does the whole thing where he noticed me from the aisle. He comes around, and acknowledges me. Now, the cool thing about the debut the month before that didn't air, that didn't count, so to speak, Stevie notices me, and we do the whole thing, look at each other, and we knew we had chemistry right off the bat because we looked at each other. And Stevie, we used to do this thing where like this, he was like Kung Fu Stevie. He called himself Kung Fu Stevie. He would do these shots where he'd go boom, boom, like that. And when I'm just Brian Rollins, Stevie Richards super fan, we looked at each other without even planning it. We just both go, He went to do it, and I just, we did it. And that's when I knew we had something there, chemistry-wise. So he comes around I'm the Blue Meanie this time. He comes around and notices me. I give him the present and the Flock of Seagulls half shirt. And, we embrace, and then he invites me over to rail, which to me, I've said this plenty of times before, that was my baptism into the world of kind of making it. I'd been wrestling for a year and a half up until that point, but my goal was to get to ECW. I was still going to ECW shows. I went to ECW shows as a fan. Plenty of footage of that. I went to ECW shows while I was still training. I would drive back home once a month to see my grandfather who was passing away from cancer. But like I would always cap off. I made sure the trip was capped off by a trip to the ECW show, and then from ECW drive back to Ohio. So, where was I?
So he brought you over the guardrail.
He brought me off there over the guardrail, and that was just like that signified my comeuppance in the business, sort of, whether all those times going to a show and being on that side of the rail, I was being brought over, and it was just like the coolest thing. Like if you were going to do a movie about it and end the movie on a high note, me coming over the rail, that would have been like, oh, the hometown boy gets to work for the hometown promotion and all that stuff. Like, if somebody was playing baseball and they got signed by the Phillies, they grew up in Philly and went to the Phillies. Well, it's kind of like the movie Invincible, with
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg, where when he plays Vince Papale, who was a lifelong Eagles fan, and the Eagles hired Dick Vermeil, and then they have open tryouts, which is like unheard of back then, and he was like the lone guy they picked. So he grew up watching Eagles, all this stuff, and then he gets hired by the Eagles and stuff like that. So it's kind of along those lines. I like to think my career, But
I mean, even when you go further than ECW, you talk about your WrestleMania moment.
Yeah,
in Philly.
I am unapologetically a Philadelphia homer between sports or music or actors. If somebody's from Philly and they make it good, I'm just like, I'm a fan. From Will Smith to the band Cinderella, or did you know that the person who wrote Girls Just Want to Have Fun was a man from Philadelphia named Robert Hazard?
Really?
Stuff like that.
I did not know that.
Did you know that Joan Osborne's What If God Was One of Us was written by the lead singer of the Hooters from Philadelphia?
I did not know that.
Which everybody thinks is Prince, but it wasn't. So, like, I know those. That's in the theme of our show, useless knowledge, So
lots and lots of useless knowledge, all contained in the mind. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Of the Meanie. There you go.
There we go. But, and Prince does an amazing cover of Joan Osborne's What If God Was One of Us. Every time I put it on like social media, people are like, well, that's a song he wrote. I was like, aha. No, it was written by, fucking Jeffrey Mitchell's going to kill me because we both like this guy. Eric Brazilian from the Hooters.
There you
are. Wrote that.
I knew that. I did not know that.
But dude, I love it. I love Philly, and the fact that I debuted for ECW in Philly means the world to me.
Yeah.
Debuted for WWE, Philly, WrestleMania, Philly. In the town I was born. So.
Oh, it's so cool. If there were things that I've been able to do, the thing that I did for Fight TV for AEW for the premiere of Dynamite. I did that 2-hour live pre-show before the debut of Dynamite on TNT. That was, probably to date the biggest thing that I've ever done, sitting there at the Capital One Arena, in DC. Had that been sitting in the, I was just about to call it the Core State Center again.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, that's why it was called.
The heck is it called now? The
Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo Center. Thank you. Had it been sitting in the Wells Fargo Center in Philly, it would be hard to imagine something topping that unless I was like actively on the show or something, so for it, I totally get it. If I were able to do a 2-minute thing, at the Wells Fargo Center in Philly, that would outweigh the 2-hour thing that I did at the Capital One Arena in DC.
Yeah.
Because it's the building I went and watched, my favorite, the Blue Meanie, show up at WrestleMania. So, but it's the building where I watched wrestling, where I dreamt of being involved in professional wrestling. And so I totally, you don't, I feel like everybody listening to this, you don't have to explain it to them, that people get it. I mean, it's your hometown thing, just like, Bret Hart in Montreal. Like it's your, like Shawn Michaels in Wilmington, Delaware. It's
and here we tie that all up with a little bit of a bow.
There you go.
As I say this to you, as I'm sitting on a chair I took from the Philadelphia Spectrum.
Yes. Yeah, which is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you put that on social media at Blue Meanie BWO. So people can go and take a look at that if they haven't seen it yet. But yeah, that's it's so cool. You're sitting on a chair from the Spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a thing like when they were closing the Spectrum for $20, you could go in, whatever you could physically leave with. That's what you took.
Yeah.
And they gave you like this really cool decorative crystal. That was like, there was a crystal with the Spectrum carved into it. I think that was like a little bit of a diversion to make sure you didn't carry more shit.
Yeah, right.
I made sure I went down there with a book bag, and I just
give him this $1.99 crystal.
Yeah,
and make it big enough and heavy enough.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, like, I was like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to treat it like a supermarket sweep,
Sure.
Went down there with a book bag. I was like, whatever I get to shove in the book bag and then carry out, like a fucking camel, But the limit on the chairs was like 4 chairs per person, and 4 of the red chairs. So when I was there, like looting the Spectrum, I got 4 chairs. Like, fuck, how am I gonna get this up? Because they're fucking heavy. I found an office chair, and I put the 4 of those chairs on the office chair, and I wheeled it up because you had to walk up the fucking ramp too, which. Man. That was like a spectacle. People were watching people come up the ramp with stuff, and like if they were dropping, you hear the crowd go, "Oh!"
That's Philly.
People to fit. But you see, people were walking out there with hockey boards and shit. People were walking out with the basketball.
I mean, it's amazing. It's so that would have.
There's footage. There's footage. I met a guy there who said he fucking found like a back door and just went in there one night when nobody was in there.
That's amazing.
And he's like walking up, and it's on YouTube. You can find it.
Yeah. But
him and his friend are just walking through the Spectrum, and they're the only 2 people in there, and he's walking in all the locker rooms filming it, and he's in the catwalks filming it and all that stuff.
Dude, that would have freaked me out.
Yeah.
It was like just me and a buddy in there. I would have the entire time just be like, dude, we need to get the fuck out of here. I feel like there's some vagrant that calls this locker room home on off hours, and I feel like,
yeah,
he's about to attack me.
Dude, I was so bummed I never got to wrestle at the Spectrum that like I wish I had like somebody that I could fucking lock up with and just run a high spot
You know,
Dude,
hey, I ran a spot in the Spectrum.
Mangle and I did that when we went to the first time I ever went to the ECW arena, because I never went there during ECW. First time I ever went there was almost 3 years ago for Something to Wrestle, and you were up in the up by the lighting stuff or whatever. I don't know what you were doing. You were upstairs.
There was a locker room that had a balcony.
Yeah, it was the balcony that looked over. Yeah, you were up there. I remember I saw you from afar. We didn't know each other then, but right. I remember Joel Gertner was there, and it was really cool. And then I saw the special guest was Al Snow, and I hadn't seen Al I'd seen him once, I think, since OVW. So it was so cool to get to see him. But I was there with my friends, and one of them being Matt Mangle, who used to be a wrestler, and I used to wrestle him a lot. And we were in that room, and I was like, we got to do something. We just locked up. We locked up. I'm like, hey, we've locked up in the ECW arena. Like, that was it. Because I wasn't in the wrestling business. Again, at that time, I had been out for a little while, and, I was just like, but you know what? It's the ECW arena. We got to lock up. So I totally get that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was pretty cool. And then, it was like that day led into that night, of course. It was like daylight savings time, and we went to McCusker's, and we went to McCusker's because we figured we'd get an extra hour drinking in. Yeah. So, God, I apologize for anybody who's annoyed by my sniffling. It's just my allergies are driving me insane.
You know what? I want to apologize for anyone who's annoyed by my voice today more than regularly. I am losing my voice at this point, which is great when you basically do when I have 4 shows to do in the next 48 hours. So it's really good. I think it was from allergies too, because the weather's become a little nicer. So I was outside and it's not.
Yeah, I had the door open. I was eating breakfast this morning. I was like, I'll open up the door. It's beautiful out.
Yeah.
But my allergies are like fucking haywire. I sound like the world's fattest cokehead over here, just sniffling away, Yeah. Yeah. Back at the Travelodge.
I did want to say we got some comments from our Patreon members here. Sean Jones, I'll be upgrading as soon as upgrades open. Gold Club, here I come, dude.
Thank you so much.
That's amazing. Now I feel like we need to read the other ones, but no, it's not.
That's the cool thing, man. I know we're in this apocalypse and shit's tight. And, people are worried about, where they're going to get their next paycheck, and then it's just to start a Patreon.
Yeah,
we're like, I feel awkward, and then we're adding tiers and stuff like that. But the fact that people haven't, batted an eyelash is just so cool.
There is something for
it means something.
Yes,
to us
and
because
for someone we haven't figured out exactly what it's going to be. We talked about different things last week and all. For somebody like what Sean is saying, he's going to do. When you leave the OG Pod Squad tier and go into another tier, you will still always be OG Pod Squad. So, I think that we're going to have to make sure that at that cutoff, whoever was a part of this prior to December 1st, you guys are going to get something to commemorate the OG Pod Squad thing.
Absolutely.
You'll walk away with something. Gold members and gold member, but other, but Pod Squad Gold and stuff like that and beyond. That'll be something that, while we will appreciate those people forever as well, we'll make sure you're getting something that is, that will depict the year, that will depict OG Pod Squad, something that is yours, so, because we appreciate all of you so much. But also looked like, who was it here? Somebody said, I lost it here. RJ, Pod Squad Gold, you also get to Airbnb at Casa DeMeanie or Shernoff. So here's the thing. If I put an Airbnb on a tier for my house, there won't be room for you because when my wife finds out, I will be living in a studio apartment by myself. So, no, that's not going to happen. It'll be a lot higher tier than gold. But
Plutonium.
for the $25,000 a month tier, you get to come stay the night at our house.
The plutonium level or whatever.
James Sorensen says the highest one should have blue in the name. Well, spoiler, I'm pretty sure that is, let me check my notes. I think our highest one, yes, is, we actually had another one. I have a note to discuss with Meanie. Our second to highest was Pod Squad Blue, but I think our super highest needs to be Pod Squad Blue.
Or dark blue.
Dark blue. We also have Pod Squad Diamond, which is after the Pod Squad Gold tier, and that's got some other fun things there that we'll talk about.
We need to have a discussion.
Yeah, we're gonna go over this. The first few tiers had been Meanie and I had talked about them, and they were free to. And that's why I kind of powdered out there when I was reading them, because I was like, yeah, Meanie and I didn't talk about this idea. This is just an idea I wrote down. So, RJ says they're rolling out December 1st. Yes, December 1st. At like 12:01. They will open. They'll become available. And some of the higher ones, some of the higher tiers that we're going to be offering are limited. So, because when we're offering things like phone calls, we have to limit the amount of people, because we can't, we're so grateful for everyone who joins, but we don't have enough time to call everybody. And, so we're, they'll be limited. Pod Squad Sapphire? No, Sweet Sapphire.
Sapphire took the money.
Yeah. So anyway, what were we talking about? Yeah, but that's so cool. And yeah, you know what? We can, when we finish recording, I feel like we can talk to you guys about some of the other tiers and stuff. But hey, join Patreons, then you'll get to hear stuff like that. Anyway, Meanie.
Yes, sir.
What were we talking about? Anything?
Dude, I am. We were talking about me running high spots in the Spectrum.
Yes.
That night we went to McCusker's.
Yeah, to get an extra hour of drinking.
And then it was me, Tracy. We're talking to our boy Brian, another Brian. And we're like, man, when I went there for the loot, I was like, saw where they kept spare bricks on the outside, because I was like, I knew those things were going to become gold. It's like, man, I know where they keep the bricks. And we did this Mission Impossible run over to the Spectrum 1 a.m. And I pulled up the car next to the fence. I lift up the fence, and Geisler starts taking bricks out, and Tracy's loading them into the car. It's cue the Mission Impossible music, dun 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. I'm lifting the fence. He's getting the bricks. She's putting them in the car, and we go back to the McCusker's. He kept a couple bricks. I kept a couple bricks, and we gave some to McCusker's for display purposes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known you then and would have gotten you to give that to me. Okay. How about we run a quick commercial break here, and when we come back, we ask Meanie anything? How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Let's do it. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. If you want in on the best wrestling tees in the business, Homage has you covered. All the styling, profiling, limousine riding looks from the rings of yesterday and today in super soft fabric and comfortable fits you can't get enough of.
Yeah, that's right, man. I've been a fan of Homage for years. I've been wearing their shirts for years, everything from pro wrestling to pop culture. And Dude, I get so many reactions out and about in the wild when I'm wearing my Dusty Road shirt, or I'm wearing I'm a Funker shirt, or my old school ECW shirt. Homage makes shirts that are comfortable and stylish and definitely retro, which is the thing I've loved about them for years.
Mind of the Meanie listeners, you can use the coupon code MEANIE for 20% off your first purchase at homage.com. That's HOMAGE.com.
Ooh, the homage.com. Freak out! Freak out! Freak out!
We thank homage.com for homage.
Or homage.
Yeah, who knows? All right, Meanie, you ready?
Hold on, let me, I'm going second.
Oh,
deep.
Samesies.
Yeah, Belle V, Tangerine.
I have got Hoigman's Black Cherry Vanilla.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good one.
Oh, go Birds.
Go Birds, wherever they may go. The good thing about seltzer is, like, the back of my throat's fucking super scratchy, and that's like the bubbles are scratching the back of my throat for me. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
But I'm ready.
All right, let's do it then. All right.
So stupid.
RJ pointed out, I said samesies, so we were supposed to push the button for that, but I wanted to do it for this. I realized that. So whatever, we'll just do it again. There we are. It's such a unique sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done worse ones, which is, I mean, I wish I would have got like some Rolling Thunder ones that I do. It's like, fuck.
Well, we'll get it. Hey, you got that spare mic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Mark Indryden at Mark Matsuo. What does Meanie think about the rumor of WWE doing away with house shows after the pandemic is over? Hashtag Ask Meanie. I think that's a great question and one that I would love your opinion on.
It's, I don't know, man. I understand why they might not do them. You know, I mean, if it's in the sense of we don't know, you know, where this virus is going and will the vaccines take, you know, and all that stuff. But, I mean, house shows are where you make the extra money. And, like, as far as I don't know how it's structured now.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was there, you wanted to be on the house shows because that's where you made the real money. You know? Yeah. I had the downside guarantee and all that stuff. But when I got on the house show circuit, that's when I started making the real money. You know? I don't know how it is now. Yeah, and you know, I'm sure the royalties are dwindled with the network. You know, the one thing you always looked forward to when I worked there was, you know, walking to the mailbox and getting your your weekly check, and then you get your pay-per-view check, merch check, you know, house show check. You know,
and it's a great point.
And see the breakdown of which towns and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, and it's a great point that you're making, which is that, you know, you don't, and I obviously don't know what how it's structured now.
Yeah.
You know, has some of that changed? Are people still getting that money, but through other means? You know, is the contract totally restructured than it was when you were there? But there's so many aspects of them doing away with house shows and how that affects one. You know, it's less opportunity for fans to be able to go see a show live. Two, house shows are something where I know for me, I always really enjoyed house shows because that was when you were almost getting the not going to say that getting the best, but you were getting more out of a match than you were at TV sometimes. You know, because you have like
TVs, you're worried about commercial breaks and how many segments and all stuff. House shows, you're just having your match.
And far more interaction with the crowd because you're not worried about that crowd at home. You know, when you're doing TV, you're playing to an audience of millions of people all around the world. But,
and yeah, as a performer, you want the house shows because you could try new things and it's not on TV. Whereas if you make a mistake, you go, well, it
wasn't documented.
Right. Right.
Where if you try something for the first time on TV and you fuck up, it's there to live in forever in infamy.
Yeah. It's then there's the other side of it. You look at AEW. They did not have house shows prior to things shutting down. Obviously, they don't have it now, but they did not have house shows. And, there are a lot of ways to think about that. There was opportunity to give up indie bookings to some of their guys. There was opportunities, but there was the opportunity for talent to not have as much wear and tear on their bodies. Yeah. Not just from, and everybody always thinks the wear and tear is because of how many nights a week they're wrestling. And that's obviously part of it. But in this next part, you can speak to it far more than I can. The travel, there's wear and tear. I think every person can relate to hey, I'm going on vacation. Oh, it's that first day is travel day, where I get to my destination and I kind of just want to just lay down on the bed in the hotel because I'm exhausted because I traveled. Well, pro wrestlers having the house show loop, having all that, that's your life. That is, except you don't have the luxury most of the time to, I got into the hotel, let me I'll take today. Today will just be my relaxing day. It doesn't work that way because you might have a pay-per-view that night or whatever. So,
you get to a town, you find the gym, you work out, you find some place to eat. Mm-hmm. If you have time, you might see a movie. Then you go and do the show, and then you're driving 200 miles in one direction. Right. It was always good. If you had 3 or 4 people to a car, you could switch out driving and stuff like that. When I was there, it was just me and Al driving, and then occasionally we would have Mick in there or, a random, fourth. But you would fly to the town. You have to get your bags, get your car, drive, wrestle. Drive a couple hundred miles in another direction. Hopefully, find a hotel, get a little bit of rest, wake up, have breakfast, go to the gym. Like you said, if you had time, go do something. The cool thing about house shows, though, you could see a little bit, do a little sightseeing. Like when we rode with Mick, he was always looking for historic landmarks and stuff. Like if we're in Virginia, he was looking for or North Carolina, he's looking for battlefields and stuff like that, and stuff I probably never would have done on my own. But he's such a historian. It was cool to to travel with Mick, see the historic stuff. But again, for the average person, traveling, travel day, it wears you down. It's always good to travel East Coast to West Coast because you're going with the time change coming back. Sure. It's really fun.
Do you think there's a risk of a loss of camaraderie, a loss of the ability to pass on knowledge to younger talent? So many times you'd hear about the people who made their lifelong friends in the business because they were on the road together.
Yeah.
And
band of brothers.
Yep. And then, packed, like sardines in a car. And, but then you hear so many people who had the opportunity to ride with, as you have, ride with these far more experienced at the time or these veterans who will turn around and say, there's a very, a saying that I've heard a lot of people say, which is, I learned more in those car rides than I did in the ring. I learned more in the car rides than I did in wrestling school. I learned more in the car rides than I did that. And what they're always talking about is obviously psychology. And, do you think there's a risk of losing that by cutting out the house shows where all of a sudden now you have a roster who they fly in for TV, they're there on Monday, and then, okay, I'll see you later. Now it's a wonderful thing if that's it. If they're only there on Mondays or only there on, Fridays or whatever it is, that's great as far as them spending time with their families. I'm sure the WWE is going to take advantage of having them doing a million other things as well on other days.
Keep them busy.
Right. But I just feel like house shows, or so many people always talk about the house show matches. Like, well, what was one of your, like Chris Jericho, prior to his final run with WWE, he had come back for a house show only run. He came back to the company and only did that. And he said it was like it was the thing that made him come back for more, because he just enjoyed it so much, because there was such less pressure than TV, than, here's the promo you got to do. Oh, the writers going to do, we're going to change this. It's like, no, you show up, here's your match. And you're going to go do your match. You're going to go do what you do better than anybody else in the world, which is wrestle.
Yeah.
And like you said before, you're not worried about, you don't have somebody in your ear, we're going to commercial in 10. We're going to, there's not, it's different. And so I guess my very long-winded question is, do you think that for all the positives that could come out of that, like wrestlers' health and longevity, do you think that the negatives perhaps outweigh the positives as far as their career goes?
If they recalculate it, maybe to instead of doing, because now that you got TVs, you would do back then. It was Sunday Night Heat, Monday Night Raw, and then you do like 3 or 4 shows, go home for a day, and then you're back out on the road. If they can recalculate to where, you're doing your TV, and then maybe hit a major market in like a B town, C town, and then go home or whatever, something like that. If they could just, calculate in a way to where you're not doing like 3 or 4 shots in a row. When you look at again, I equate everything to the NFL. How, a lot of football teams hate doing Thursday night football. If you have a game on Sunday and then you got to play the next Thursday, there's that, players enjoy that in between time to rest and recover. They think, a lot of people think these Thursday night football games are inhumane to their, recovery and healing. And that's where they attribute a lot of injuries, these Thursday night games. Now, if they could just do something where you do, if you're just doing TVs only, or do what Jericho did, do a house show loop only. You got to figure something out. You need, in my opinion, house shows.
So
it's extra income. You get to have more, try the workout stuff in the ring. Some stuff might work. If it doesn't work, stuff like that. Stuff I've already said.
Now, what about the idea of, they've talked for such a long time, like how ideal it would be to be able to just send somebody away to, like you said, a house show, you get to try things. It either works, it doesn't work, whatever. What about the idea of being able to almost like rotate your roster, even though you don't want to necessarily give everybody the time off that some people think people need, like, oh, they should take half a year off and then they're on for half a year. It's like, well, then when you first get back into it, that callus that your body's built up, it's kind of, that's going to hurt. But
that's no lie.
But what about the idea of, we're going to run some house shows, but if you're on house shows, you're not on TV. And if you're on TV, you're not on house shows. And then at some point, we're going to flip you. No matter how big of a star you are, we're going to flip you, and not all at once, but someone will get traded.
With the exception of...
I didn't overthink this. I mean,
No, with the exception of champions, because you want to have your champions at the house shows, defending the titles and stuff like that.
I guess so, yeah. I guess you have to.
But, it's a good point where sometimes people are on TV too much and they're overexposed to where their reactions are like, it's like, I can't miss you if you don't go away.
Right.
Take somebody off TV, but do strictly house shows where there's no... Yeah, I mean, it's like, people are like, oh, send him to NXT. Well, he's still on TV.
Yeah, it's on the USA Network, just a different night.
Yeah.
I think that there's
You strictly do house shows to where he's still honing his skills. He's not getting rusty, but he gets to try some new stuff. Maybe try a little bit more character development, Yeah. Have somebody work a random match as a heel as opposed to babyface. See how that works. See how the crowd reacts.
I'm just so interested to see.
There's so much stuff you could do.
I'm so interested to see if it actually happens.
I think it will come. I think they eventually will
do house shows again. I mean, they do away with things just out of boredom, and then they bring them back. Like when they got rid of the Intercontinental belt.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Like,
that was horrible.
It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why? It's your best belt.
Why do they do any of the things they do? Why is Survivor Series, which is the show that is supposed to be about bragging rights for your brand supremacy, why does it take place a month after a draft where no one has any allegiance to the brand that they're fighting for? Like, shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't the draft start the Monday after Survivor Series?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't, and to me, like, that's just something, and I'm sure not the first person to suggest that at all, but it's little things like that with WWE that always drive me crazy. And it's easy when you're not in the bubble to, look at it from an outsider's point of view. I don't have, I'm not working 23 and a half hours a day on creative like that team is, where you eat, sleep, and breathe it, and you don't have a minute to maybe step outside and go, does that make sense? But I look at that and I go, you can do your draft whenever you want. Do it the day after Survivor Series. Make Survivor Series up, because then you've had an entire year. You have not seen these people cross over. And then for the entire year, and then the other thing is the buildup. And I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but the buildup to Survivor Series, like the last couple of weeks, like last night on SmackDown, you had the New Day there, and it's like, okay, well, didn't they just have their farewell match from SmackDown like 2 weeks ago or something? And now they're back because they're there to push for the event. Imagine if they had been gone for an entire year. Well, now the 2 weeks leading up to it, you're excited to see them on SmackDown because you're like, oh man, they're here to really build up this feud. And then we've got that big blow off pay-per-view, and then back to the drawing boards. We start from scratch that next week, Monday and Friday, we're going to do these drafts. And then the following week, we're off for another year doing whatever we're doing. It's, to me, like you said, like the Intercontinental title and stuff, there are times that they do things that maybe don't make sense at the time.
Yeah.
But then there are things that don't make sense at any time. But anyway.
I remember there was a period of time where Bob Holly would come to the ring and they would say, former Intercontinental Champion Bob Holly. And he never held the belt. I was like, why are you guys saying that? Kevin Kelly was like,
and you're like, can you say that about me?
Yeah.
Because I'd like that soundbite.
I wrestled for the belt a couple times.
Yeah. Let's see what other questions. Yeah, that was a good question, though.
Yeah.
Let's see. This comes from Grapehausen. Do you have any strange or funny stories about eating at a restaurant while on the road?
No, not really.
All right, great. Next question.
Just not even on the road. Or just where my hold my calls thing came from. That wasn't even on the road. I was just visiting Tracy's family in Connecticut, and it just happened to be on April Fool's Day, which felt like a rib. But like back in the day, you would check in on like apps like Foursquare and stuff like that, and we go to a diner near, Mrs. Meanie's mom's house. And we're sitting there, and some lady comes over with a phone and goes, "Are you Brian?" Yeah. And like the phone's like on a tray, like in a fucking movie. And hello, hi, Blue Meanie. And it's like a little kid telling me he saw me check in. It had the name and address of the place, and he called me.
That's amazing, though.
I had this little phone call with this kid. I was like, oh, well, I'm kind of eating now. I got to go. And then after that, I started checking in after I left the place.
Yeah, right.
And like, McCuskers, I would check into McCuskers. I go, hold my calls, which was just, if you call, I'm not answering because of that one instance. But eating out at a restaurant, nah, this is nothing too goofy, Just,
speaking
of, yeah.
While we're on the subject,
I was trying to fish for something, but I couldn't think of anything.
While we're on the subject of food, though, Elwood Outlaw at Winston 316. What's your favorite pizza joint in or around Philly?
there's a place on South Street called Lorenzo's that has amazing slices. I haven't been there in a while, but like the slices of pizza are like huge. You go in there, it's just plain slices. If you want toppings, you have to order a whole pie. But plenty of times after, like, I mean, it's good sober, but like plenty of drunken nights on South Street, I've gone, oh, let's go to Lorenzo's because they're open late and stuff like that. But and I used to take people there all the time. They had a fire and they remodeled. I don't know if it's the same. I haven't been there in a while. But Lorenzo's is really good on South Street. It's like maybe 2nd and South. It's across the street. I forget. There's a place on South Street, and they got a mural of Larry from the Three Stooges on the side of the building because that building was the birthplace of Larry from the Three Stooges. He was born in that house.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's a mural of Larry playing a violin on the outside. Lorenzo's is across the street from that.
That's cool.
So, yeah. It's like 2nd or 3rd and South. But, yeah, definitely great slices.
I had, for me, there were, now my family goes to a more local place called Randazzo's, and they're great. They do a great job. So this is the around Philly as opposed to in Philly. Yeah. But when I was growing up, man, there was Nick's Pizza and MGP, which is what we called it. I don't even think they know we called it MGP. It was Maple Glen Pizza.
Okay.
We just would always refer to it shorthand, MGP. And, dude, that just is just they had such good stuff. I remember they had like a cheesesteak pizza, which, I mean, I know they didn't invent that.
Yeah, that's what I always get.
Yeah, but that was my go-to. I would get that, and just, I think whatever pizza you have when you're like at a certain point in your life, that just becomes what pizza is to you, what it's supposed to taste like. Like I remember Bill Apter, friend of the show, Bill Apter, who...
the George Napolitano of photographers.
So that man loves his burnt pizza. He loves to do his burnt pizza tour. But one time, back in, it was in June of 2001, he told me that I need to go to this pizza place in Jenkintown. It is the best pizza he's ever had. The reason I remember that it's June 2001 was because it was at a friend's graduation party when he told me this. I finally, on 9/11, 2001, I was in college. I just started college. I had a friend who went to a school that was on trimester, so he didn't actually start yet. And we just got together, you know, not knowing what the hell was happening in the world. We're like, hey, you want to grab something to eat? Everything was closed. I said, you know what? I've never gone to check out this place. Bill Apter told me it was the greatest pizza he's ever had. It's like, why don't we just go there? And they were open. It was the worst pizza I ever had. It was so bad. But
was that the burnt pizza place?
No. This was, I mean, now he's gone to places I've gone. It's good pizza. Yeah, I've gone with him, but he does this little like burnt pizza store. But no, I went to this one. I don't even remember what it was called. It's still
How do you
there.
fuck up pizza, man?
I don't know. And it's like, I guess maybe it's a difference between like New York style pizza and pizza in Philly. Like, I'm not a big New York pizza fan.
There's Chicago style as well.
Well, Chicago, that's a whole different. I mean, dude, when I was in Chicago, had some deep dish. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
My buddy Donnie orders pizzas right from Chicago. I forget the name of the place, but they'll make them and dry freeze them and ship them right to your house.
Wow, that's amazing.
Really good.
But I always remember
sit around and eat it, and smoke a blunt. Yeah.
Did you say eat it or
eat it?
Eat it. Okay.
Eat it, not beat it.
There we go. But no. So on 9/11, the least bad thing happening in our country was me not enjoying pizza.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know what? And maybe there's an aspect of it where I couldn't enjoy anything at that point because I was eating that, watching the TV in the place, just staring at it, going. I mean, people closed. People didn't know. You know, that was that was a really terrible time. But
I just remember watching like that day, just watching the TV, and it felt like I was watching a movie. Like it didn't seem real, you know?
Yeah.
The night before, I went to see my friend's band play at the House of Blues in Hollywood. The band Sabotage. We're hanging out. We're having a great time. There's people backstage hanging out. Go home, go to bed, and wake up. And you're 3 hours behind in California.
I was going to say, so you were in California when that happened.
So I woke up, and it's just like whoever was there was like, New York's in rubble, so we're under attack. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then like it started processing. I jump out of bed and run to the TV. They're showing the footage of the plane hit. I'm like, how do they know how to? The conspiracy theorists. I was like, how do they know how to have cameras there right as the planes were hitting? I was like, well, idiot. A plane hit it the first time, and they were showing the first hit. That was the second plane. I was like, how did they know? But by the time I processed everything, I was glued to my TV.
Well, we had fear look, I wasn't in Philadelphia, but people in Philadelphia had a lot of fear because of the buildings in Philadelphia that are so, if you want to attack the US, and there was this thought like, okay, is this what's happening? Are we are they going to hit Philadelphia? Are they going to hit DC? Which, they did. So, I mean, yeah. Anyway, we'll get off that topic. That's just depressing. But yeah. And I couldn't even get good pizza. Ringside Rant at Ringside Rant. Our good friend RJ. The best venue you worked in for ECW.
Oh, yeah. You would have to eliminate the arena.
Outside of we'll say outside of the arena.
Outside of the arena. I liked, because you're going to have to eliminate that, and you're going to have to eliminate Queens, because that building was electric too. Mm-hmm. And those buildings had there was like a rivalry between ECW Arena and the building in Queens, the Madhouse of Extreme. Other than ECW Arena, other than Queens, New York, I would say I really enjoyed working in Dayton, Ohio at the, I want to say the Nutter Center, where we had Heat Wave a couple times, because that crowd was just electric, Dayton, Ohio, New Orleans, those buildings were really cool. Yeah, dude, it's so hard. So hard because those crowds were very similar too, but the crowd in Dayton, Ohio. I want to say it was the Nutter Center. I know I'm saying it wrong, but I think it just got shut down, or it just got hit by a tornado.
Hara Arena.
Yeah, Hara Arena.
Thank you, Devlin. That came from Devlin Clemens on Patreon.
Thank you, sir. It's amazing what I forget, but
I love how when the show started, I was supposed to jog your memory, and my memory has gotten worse since the show started. And now we have to have Patreon people to
fact check us.
Anthony Camarada asked a couple of different things. The first one he did here on the Twitter at Mind of the Meanie. I think the Firefly Funhouse is one of the better things in WWE right now. What do you think of it, and do you think you would fit into that universe? If you got the call to be a part of it, would you like to do it?
Oh, absolutely. My character was always one of those fringe characters, crazy, fun-loving, but, when we were Raven, I had my character had a little bit of a dark side. So, absolutely. Definitely. And I think me and Bray would have a great chemistry.
I also, anyone who saw the Inner Circle in Vegas in AEW, and they open it up, there's the baby crying, which it was supposed to be like The Hangover. But this baby was Hornswoggle in a diaper. They've done so many fun little things like that I look at that stuff. I look at the Hardys stuff, Matt Hardy's thing. and you just fit in stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. Matt told me that they were doing the tag team thing, and they were talking about doing the BWO. And he's like, if we do another one, we'll have you on.
What was that?
Cool. What's that?
What's that, Matt?
That they had the
back in Impact when they were doing it with the tag
Impact,
team.
yeah.
Okay.
And they brought in like the Rock and Roll Express and all these different tag teams and stuff. He said they were talking about doing the BWO.
Yeah.
For a reason it didn't happen for that one. He's like, but if we have another one, we'll give you guys a call.
Yeah, Nova turned it down.
Yeah. Heel.
Anthony also asked, what movies or TV shows do you still watch today that you grew up loving?
There's a movie, Crossroads, with Ralph Macchio, that was like a really good movie. I like it, where he's a classically trained guitar player trying to discover the blues and all that stuff. And the movie ends with him having a guitar battle with Steve Vai. Steve Vai represents Satan, and I don't want to give the movie away, but Crossroads with Ralph Macchio, which
that's fine. For me, it's Crossroads with Britney Spears.
And that was my next sentence, because I hated Britney Spears, because anytime I would see Crossroads show up on the TV guide,
you'd be excited, and then
it's like, motherfucker.
Yeah, never had a chance to watch Crossroads with Britney Spears, but I have to imagine it wasn't good. So,
there's like two movies where there's two movies that had the same name, and like I love Crossroads, Ralph Macchio. I hate Britney Spears for that, but then there was like a movie in the 80s called Bad Boys with Sean Penn.
Mm-hmm.
Really good movie. And then they come out with, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith's
which is also awesome.
Which, it's a good movie, but every time I see it on the channel guide, you're like,
And see, but I grew up with Bad Boys, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. So,
Yeah. What other? There's got to be like one more. Like, there's a. Here's the thing. Like, I'll say something, I forget I said it, and then I'll say it again, and then people are thinking I'm fucking ribbing them. There's a movie when I was a kid called The Principal with James Belushi, and I would just say to I would see my cousin or my friend Justin. I'm like, oh man, I just saw this really good movie. It's called The Principal. James. I would give it a run. I would see them again and totally forgetting I had put this movie over, and it became like this running joke. So like, last time I hung out with my friend Justin at his place called Fairpoint Toy Store, I walk in, I just dude, I just saw this great movie, and he would just start fucking laughing. It just became this running joke. I saw this great movie. Oh, what was it called? Was it called The Principal? Yeah, did you see it too? It's one of those jokes we say to each other. We've been saying over like 20 to 30 years. And it's just, it is a good movie. But
TV shows, Golden Girls. Did you watch that as a kid?
I watched it with my grandmom. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I guess that counts as one that you watched as a kid that you still love.
It was cool to rewatch it. Because you watch a show and then time goes by and you forget about it. So when you watch it, it's like new again.
Yeah.
So to watch it with Tracy, it's a lot of fun, And then we watched Golden Palace, which I had never seen.
Right.
And I think that held up really well.
Yeah. I remember when it came out. I remember watching it, but
I mean, the only thing missing was B. Arthur.
Yeah.
And I mean, she was an integral part of the show, but the way they did it, they brought in Cheech Marin and oh my God, there's another actor I can't think of it. I'm blanking on his name, but Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle. You know what? I wanted to say it, and I was like, "Am I thinking of a different show?" And yeah, Don Cheadle was in it.
A young Don Cheadle, and the show was really good, even though B. Arthur wasn't there, but it was really good.
RJ wants to know any memories wrestling at the Burt Flickinger Center in Buffalo.
Burt Flickinger.
Yeah.
Dude. I mean, and now you bring that building up. That was another amazing building that I love to wrestle in.
Those crowds were fucking insane up in Buffalo, and it was fun going to Buffalo. Great wrestling town. I like that building because there's like this Olympic-sized pool in the back with like diving boards. Like, it's like, let me try to do a moonsault off this fucking platform here. And, you're swimming around, then you go out and do the Tracy Smothers thing in the ring before the show, and then you do your match. And yeah, Buffalo was great, a great town for wrestling. Burt Flickinger, center. Because they had the entranceway that came down this one aisleway, but in order to get there, you had to come up through these steps and go underneath the bleachers to get to the entranceway. So it was always like an adventure, like the things you don't see on TV, leading up to people doing entrances and stuff like that was pretty cool.
RJ says that he had his first ECW event there. That's the first ECW show he went to.
Oh, amazing.
Was Meanie on the card, RJ? That's what we want to know.
Yeah.
There's a delay, so we'll find out soon enough. Yeah, well, I mean, that's it. That's it for Ask Meanie. That's what we had for today.
Yeah, man.
I feel like I'm still exhausted from last week's episode. When we finish here, we're going on for our Patreon members. We're going to be doing a watch along, a little alternative commentary
of our own.
And then tomorrow, as we're recording this, tomorrow we have alternative commentary on Fight TV for Survivor Series. But earlier in the day, I will be doing So Says Shernoff, which will be airing on Thanksgiving. And my special guest is Dr. Tom Pritchard. So I'm very excited about that. So definitely, if you're listening to this on a Monday, check that out this coming Thursday on Thanksgiving. What else are you going to do on Thanksgiving? So RJ doesn't remember if you were on the show. He says his memory is shot like Josh's. Like Josh's?
Yeah.
Come on,
you,
now.
brother.
My memory is fantastic. I remember back in the day. Anyway, I have nothing.
Yeah. Blame it on the weather.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, but you know what? It's gonna be cold soon, and everyone's gonna be miserable, and But hopefully the world's just gonna get better soon. Well, the world's not gonna get better because the world is what the world is, but hopefully circumstances will get better so that the good parts of the world. Oh, bless you! I didn't know. Gesundheit. Did you get? I heard that. You gotta give me as they say, you gotta give me the office. Yeah. Let me know.
The Iggy.
Give me the Iggy. Let me know that that's coming. Coming wasn't even breathing heavy. All right, so let's see. Are we still on the air? Yeah. So Meanie, anything else you anything else? We got, my point was I've got so many shows going on. You and I have got so many shows.
I got a lot of things coming up.
I need to take a nap or something.
Yeah. I'm feeling that, man.
Yeah.
It's a great show. Great going down memory lane with, which is something we could have talked about fucking last week.
Yeah. But hey, then we wouldn't have had anything to talk about this week. So,
we could have talked about BWO debut.
We could have. we absolutely could have.
No, seriously. Thank you to each and every one of you who listened to the show, download it, or watch it live as we're doing it right now, or downloading it Monday. And thank you to everybody for the feedback, because they say it helps them during their course of the week, whether they're at work or doing stuff around the house, or the companion piece.
Yeah, which is so cool. I mean,
just the feedback is great. And I've even had people say stuff to me out in the public, running out to do food shopping, and somebody, we're in checkout, and the guy in the line goes, "Hey, you getting ready for your podcast?" I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it is.
But it's just amazing. We got I'm excited for this. I'm excited for alternative commentary. We're gonna be doing the watch along. Then hopefully I'm excited with the tiers coming up. And I'm grateful for everybody who has supported us. through Patreon, which each and every penny goes towards help keeping the lights on in the Mind of the Meanie universe. It helps cover a lot of bills and stuff like that. So it's less things to worry about, where we could just come on and just talk. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you to everybody who supports us, and it means so much. And this is going to be on Monday, so I hope each and every one of you have a very healthy, safe, and happy Thanksgiving. This is, one of our, first holidays, for Mind of the Meanie.
Is this our Thanksgiving episode?
Yeah, this is our Thanksgiving episode.
Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble. Gobbledygooker.
Oh, God, yeah.
But, no, seriously, have a happy, healthy, and safe Thanksgiving. See, there's something I could remember.
Yeah.
We couldn't remember shit last week, but we, dropping a couple days before Thanksgiving. Seriously, it's going to be a good day just to be thankful for everything, and I'm thankful for all of you. As corny as that sounds, as suck up and brown nosing as that sounds, I am grateful. Yeah, I'm thankful for each and every one of you who support us.
I agree with everything Meanie just said. It is so cool. This is our 35th episode. And to just be as far as we are with just 35 on some ways it feels like, wow, we've done so many. In some ways I'm like, wow, it's only been 35, And I mean that in the best way. It's so much fun. Thank you all so much for tuning in each and every week, and all the support. It's just, we hope that we're continuing to entertain you and give you something to look forward to, because that's it. I mean, in these times, sometimes there's nothing to look forward to. We want you to at least go, well, at least we got Mind of the Meanie for a couple hours. They'll be entertaining and fun, and talk about 9/11. Occasionally inadvertently bring things down, but
yeah,
but no,
we're like that relative at the party,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But no, but thank all of you so much. If you are a Patreon member, please join us in a few moments as we're going to do our watch along. If you're not a Patreon member, then go right now, and guess what? You'll be able to watch said watch along, because it will be there in our archives on our Patreon. So patreon.com/Mind of the Meanie. Meanie, I'm going to tell everybody a little bit about where they can find us on social media, if that's okay.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know why I asked permission for that. Please go ahead and follow us on social media at Mind of the Meanie across the board. Make sure to check out our YouTube page, youtube.com/Mind of the Meanie. We are getting closer and closer to hitting 1,000 subscribers. We are at 961 as I read this. So we're getting there, folks. And when we get there, we're going to do something really cool. We still have to reach out and find out what we can do, but
we're being very on brand.
Yes. But it'll be awesome when it happens. But subscribe to that now. You can check out Meanie Toons over there. We've got all kinds of fun stuff. Follow us as individuals if you'd be so kind. He is at Blue Meanie BWO across all platforms. I am at So Says Shernoff. What else do we have, Meanie? I don't have this stuff written in front of me anymore. I used to.
If you want me to wish you a well wish, go to cameo.com/Blue Meanie BWO. And whether it's Christmas or this coming Thanksgiving, I will hop on there and wish you well. And whatever you got going on, whether it's a gift for yourself or a gift for someone else. So go over to Cameo and look up Blue Meanie and get yourself a little cameo from the new guy.
And of course, you can also go to Etsy.com/Pin for the Win.
That's wrapping up soon, so get there real quick. She's about to wrap that up soon. So get on there and get the this is Meanie merch before it's too late.
And also, make sure that you go right now to, if you're outside the U.S., go to cellatoys.net and pre-order the Mind of the Meanie 2-pack action figures. You're going to want to do that. Do not sleep on these. They're a limited run, and time is absolutely running out. We're throwing that up here on the screen as you see this. You can go, if you're inside the U.S., go to Instagram at JBToys1. Send him a DM, and he'll hook you up with that. Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot going on these days.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Make sure to go to Fight TV and check out Alternative Commentary Survivor Series. I promise you, even if you've watched Survivor Series, especially if you've already watched it, you'll still be entertained, you'll still enjoy it. And check out what we have in the archives there as well on Fight TV. Meanie, I think we've done good this episode.
It was a fun episode.
This was good. Join us again every single Monday for another trip to the mind of the Meanie.
Blue World Order. The world of MLW radio never stops.